Welcome, everybody out there in Radio Land. Sorry we had a little cutoff there during the intro. Just connection problems with me and the neighbors. It's picking up on other stuff. But no worries. It is January 23rd, 9 p.m. here on LibertyMovementRadio.com. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. A few announcements for those of you that are Blog Talk Radio listeners. I got a month left, and I'll be gone. I suggest you follow me over here to LibertyMovementRadio.com. And the other thing, if you are listening through LibertyMovementRadio.com, donate, and especially to those of you that are mine or possibly somebody else's listeners of anybody else that's on this network, please donate, because we need bandwidth and stuff like that. And the more bandwidth we have and all of that, the better we can do, and the more archives we can put up, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So we can do a lot more with your donations, and we can have all of our archives up here so you can access whatever show you want to listen to at any given time. And of course, we always do during the daytime and during shows that aren't live. We have our archives playing during the day, but they're random shows according to our programmer. So, if you want to access a given show at any given time, please donate to us so we can put all that stuff up. Lots of good stuff. Once again, we got a new number tonight, 567-314-9087, and we'll be here for the next 2 hours. So if you do want to call in, actually, if I know Caleb Leverett had some problems the past 2 nights. Anything that Caleb wanted to say this week that might be old news or anything that he wants to promote, I'd like to give him the chance to call in tonight if he wants to. 567-314-9087. All right, let's dive right into it. We got big news and lots of clips tonight. I'm happy to say that on the gun control issue, we've got stuff that is basically tied in with the nanny state and First Amendment violations as well. So we'll get into that here in a little bit, and I also have some news clips for you. If once we get deeper into this, we'll start to sort some of those issues out, I hope. And I'd also always like your take on stuff, so please call in tonight. All right. Let's see here. Clinton set for a long-awaited Libya testimony as Senator urges top-to-bottom review. Fox News. Now, I saw this Fox News, Yahoo News today. It was all over the place. Finally, a little bit of clarity here, and a little bit. I really won't say clarity. What I really mean to say is insanity on the part of Hillary Clinton. There, kind of freaked out, So we'll hold on. Let me get into some of this. Sorry, I got 1,000 things going on here. This new system and all of this stuff. So please, like I said, birthing pains, people. She had the whatever it was, concussion or whatever, and somehow that made her unable to talk or get her facts straight, I guess. With Benghazi. So, and she just got reamed up there. I mean, Rand Paul said, I would have relieved you of your post, all of this stuff. Senator Bob Corker from Tennessee said there's no question there hasn't been the accountability within the department. I think this is going to be the beginning, I hope, of a top-to-bottom review. And we all knew all that stuff and heard of all that came out that was, they sat up there for 8 hours while a CIA base was just moments away pretty much, and just ridiculousness. Stuff that just wasn't even able to... We could have stopped that. That could have been stopped at the end of the day, and it should have been stopped. But don't rely on the U.S. government for anything, if it's one thing that I have learned. In other news, Inside Source says Obama litmus test for high-ranking officials. Will you fire on Americans? If you want to be bumped up in the United States military or Department of Defense, or, I can't even keep up with all of the sub-departments that they have nowadays. There's tons of them. But Obama says, you want to upgrade? You're going to have to order and be okay with shooting Americans. Wonder why he wants to take our guns. And here's a big, depending on if they show up here or not within the given call time, I would like to have Mrs. X back in. That's not a for certain, but she is in the military and a woman, obviously. And this came out today. AP sources. Panetta opens combat roles to women. This brings up a lot of stuff. And if we get any calls tonight, I'm hoping it'll be an issue tonight. Let me know what you think. I've heard it from both sides of the spectrum, both from men and women. This is in a foxhole. I just don't know if I want a woman beside me, just whether that be, or I'm not going to say just by me, but I'm just putting that in the human standpoint, you whether it's men attracted to women or women attracted to men, not in the same, not keeping your eye on the ball. You can call it that, and emotionalism of women to not be able to handle themselves in combat is an issue, I believe. The emotional ties to things. If somebody's watching my back, I want to know that they're not going to hesitate to fire. And, the women I know, I just don't think that that's going to be on the forefront. I don't think that that's just going to be have an initial instinct to be able to do that. And not saying that that's right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just my take on it. But let's dive into some of this stuff. This article here. Joint Chiefs of Staff overturns a 1994 rule banning women from being assigned to smaller ground combat units. Panetta's decision gives the military services until January 2016 to seek special exceptions if they believe any positions must remain closed to women. So, there's that. And I also was listening to talk radio today, and a military official had called in and saying, there's some petite women in the military, and at the end of the day, if you got to pick up a 50-pound something or another to get it ready in the heat of the moment in combat mode, you want to make sure that the physicality is there as well. But that's many different roles and many different takes on the issue. But here's something else. I know we have a good amount of New York listeners. I'd like to go ahead, and I saw this pop up here yesterday, I believe. If anyone scares the New York City Democrats, it's Joe Lhota, CBS New York. And as far as politician goes, the guy sounds legitimate enough. I mean, I don't know enough about him, so I'm not going to sit here and say good guy or bad guy, but he's the former head of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, and they sat down and did an interview with him. He's born, bred, and raised New Yorker, which I know everybody that lives in the city likes them to be, any official to be a born and bred New Yorker. So, but as far as the things that he's said, it sounds like he's on the right track as far as getting some of New York's balls back. God forbid you carry around a 20-ounce soda in the city of New York. Who knows what could happen or what you could be charged with. But here's the newscast from that CBS New York.
Former head of the MTA, Joe Lhota, is speaking out days after making his candidacy official. He sat down with CBS 2's political reporter Marcia Kramer to share his views on everything from tolls to tickets to taxes.
Joe Lhota says he'd make a great partner in the game of Trivial Pursuit because he has a storehouse of knowledge about a whole lot of things. But there's nothing trivial about his desire to be mayor of New York City.
New York is in my DNA.
Lhota, who resigned last month as head of the MTA to seek the city's top job, has both public and private sector experience. He was first deputy mayor under Rudy Giuliani. He is a frank, law and order kind of guy who minces no words. Take the NYPD's controversial stop and frisk program.
Anybody who says that we should eliminate stop and frisk really is putting the city in danger.
He has equally strong views about taxes. They should be reduced or eliminated. And tickets. The Bloomberg administration gives out far too many of them.
I've heard the complaints in all 5 boroughs as I've been visiting them. Businessmen are outraged at what used to be every now and then type enforcement.
And even though he's a mass transit guy, he will not be the one to toll the East River bridges.
I don't particularly favor tolling the East River bridges.
Lhota is a Republican in a heavily Democratic city. He is fiscally conservative, but he is pro-choice and favors same-sex marriage. He says he would perform a same-sex wedding if asked. Pundits say his late entry into the race has already changed the multi-candidate Republican primary.
I think that at this point, he is the Republican primary.
And his candidacy has also shaken up the Democrats at a time when the party thought that they would finally have a chance of taking City Hall after 20 years of GOP victories.
I certainly think Joe Lhota scares the Democratic candidates a whole lot more than any other Republican.
Well, Lhota is also known for bluntly speaking his mind. After Hurricane Sandy, for example, he called Mayor Bloomberg an idiot. Some, including political expert Mickey Blum, think that if he won, he could turn out to be New York City's Chris Christie. Maurice and Christine?
Wouldn't that be something to see, Marcia?
That would be something interesting, wouldn't it?
So there's that. He is a Republican, but for now, we won't hold that against him, but I would imagine our New York people would believe that anything would be better than Mayor Bloomberg right now. Okay, let's move along here. Inauguration. I don't have this in my notes, but I'll go ahead and get into it, and I made a post about it, and I think it's important and to show the utmost stupidity of the Obama people for even booking this. But Lupe Fiasco, Words I Never Said, big song for most of us that follow that kind of stuff. Got to the part where he was talking about Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh being racist, and then said Obama didn't say shit, and they cut him off and rolled him off the stage, and that's they cut his mic, and first I'd like to acknowledge the stupidity of all of that. That's just ridiculous. To even think that should be somebody that should be there doing that and playing at the inaugural ball. And this is, another thing that I want to bring up is the inauguration itself and some of the wording used as far as Obama was concerned, talking about gays and immigrants and all of that stuff. It's just I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but it would seem that that's just projecting to get that vote. You got to know that guy doesn't really care one way or another, but it's just caring enough about immigrants and gays and minorities just to get you on their side. White people are now the target, and that's just the way it is. I'm not trying to be racial about anything or anything else. It's just that's just the way it is. And we've got to do something about that. We've got to really have racial equality overall. Now, like I said, my moral standpoints are not always in line with my standpoints of liberty and what I truly believe politically. But as far as America goes, everybody should be able to do whatever they want as long as they're not harming anybody. And that's just how I believe. It doesn't really matter one way or another to me. And I think that's important to have in this country. It's not something that has to be, politicized at all. We're people. We're Americans. Can't we all just get along? But they want to. What was supposed to end racial division, it has done nothing but reinforce these stereotypes and split the country in two, because everybody that likes guns is white Republican, and everybody that is I'm just, so to speak, this is not true, but this is just in parody. Everybody that is a Democrat is a welfare recipient, or a minority, or a homosexual, whatever that is. That's just the way they want to pin it to get that vote. So it's a complete divide, not just racial division, but cultural division overall. And that has to come to an end. But moving along after that, that was just my take on the inauguration, and it's sad to see, and I wish we had a better go run than that. But inauguration news: police charge tree climbing inauguration protester who was a anti-abortion person. Washington Post. Anti-abortion protester Rivs Miller Grogan takes a position in a tree prior to inauguration ceremonies in Washington, January 21st. He's been, this guy's from California, and he's been arrested a handful of times at the Capitol, White House, everything else. So this is like nothing new for this guy, and he actually has been kicked out of D.C. pretty much indefinitely. Like they said, they don't want to see him anymore or anything like that. They don't want any part of it. They don't want him around or protesting. And I guess he's just caused a lot of trouble with his signs and words. But it's limiting thought, limiting everything that America's about. No right to peacefully assemble, no right to free speech, no gun rights. I'm waiting on the no quarter. I'm ready for the stormtroopers. That's probably the next one. But no Fourth Amendment. That's gone. Due process is out the window. States' rights are under attack. We're in trouble. The Bill of Rights is being shredded, and I said this months ago. It seems just like they're going down the line, just one after the other, and the system is in place. So regardless of your political beliefs, the system is already in place, and it's already signed into law and has been for hundreds of years. So, like I said the other night, we need to at least use the system already in place to put these bureaucrats, politicians, etc., in their place, because it's already there. It's not like we're going to wake up and have total, freedom out of nowhere. They're not just going to give up and roll over and let us be free citizens just because we decide not to go along with it. There is a part of mass noncompliance that I agree with, but at the same time, it's really got to be, has to be used in order to get us back to some sort of level ground where we can continue to do what we have to do to reach our ultimate goal of pure freedom, pure liberty. I'm going to play a song right now, and we'll be back in just a handful of minutes. There's Lupe Fiasco. Great song. Prince Vega played that the other night, and I really fell in love with that beat. I thought it was pretty fresh. But I don't know. The conference center for our phone is down for right now. It dropped off on me, so I guess we'll do this show without calls, or I could do it after the top of the hour and try to log back in, but you're going to hear it all on air. Give you a little taste of the new phone system, so I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll go ahead and move on already. Other news is Facebook envy making you miserable. MSNBC, and this is also from Reuters, London. Witnessing friends' vacations, love lives, and work successes on Facebook can cause envy and trigger feelings of misery and loneliness, according to German researchers. Now, before we dive any further into this, we have a word for those people, and they're called haters. And haters have got to go. Because we've come into a place with our culture that we can't have anybody do good without you hating on them. Is that really what we've come to? Everybody just hates one another? Should you make any strides in life? That's really the climate of the country. This country has either been like really shifting hardcore towards liberty or just into this socialist nightmare where we can't feel good about anybody else doing good for themselves, wondering why they can't have it too. And it's like I said, it's got to go. It's completely absurd, and there's no time for that. Who are these people that have time to just sit around and hate on one another all day long? I don't have time. I got to get up and go to work. I got a radio show to do. I got a daughter to raise. I got friends and family and a household to run. All this stuff. Who's got time to sit around and, the time that you spend hating on people, you could get up and do something with your life. It's ridiculous. So here's this study, more about the study here that these German researchers did. A study conducted jointly by 2 German universities found rampant envy on Facebook, the world's largest social network that has over 1 billion users now. The researchers found that 1 in 3 people felt worse after visiting the site and more dissatisfied with their lives. While people who browsed without contributing were affected the most. Quote, "We were surprised by how many people have a negative experience from Facebook with envy leaving them feeling lonely, frustrated, or angry," a researcher said. "From our observations, some of these people will then leave Facebook or at least reduce their use of the site." So this is just people like... And my girlfriend likes to watch it, and I was just like, this is horrible acting, and, you know, she was more than ecstatic about watching this show, and I'm like, this is horrible acting of 20-somethings acting like they're teenagers, and I just don't dig the vampire gimmick. I'm sorry. You know, actually, I'm not really sorry. I'm not sorry at all. I just don't dig it, and I think it's ridiculous and stupid, really. I mean, it's, you know, this vampire werewolf thing has been way outplayed and overplayed, and I'm just over it, you know, as far as pop culture is concerned. And so I just made a post about the show, right? And she says to me, "Oh, don't be jealous. Now be a big boy and go play with your radio show." And I'd be lying if I didn't say that cut deep, or at least a little deep. But the feeling that I got from it was like, this is something that I personally do, and this is a work of passion that I spend my time doing, and hopefully reach a good listening audience that cares from you know, my Liberty Movement radio numbers and what I've had previously on Blog Talk Radio. There are people that care about the content that I put out, and they enjoy it. And for that, I'm very thankful. But like I said, this is a work of passion, and you know, I'm putting my personal experiences into this stuff. So for somebody to say that, I got the feeling that she was personally attacked from how stupid I thought a show was. So basically, she's lining up her personality with a television show and is offended that I don't like a television show that I think is stupid. So why would you personalize that? It's sad to me. You know, I understand it's like, oh, that show's awesome, I really like it, or whatever, you know, no matter what you're talking about. You know, or this band is really cool, you should check them out. Yeah, I heard them, they sucked. Well, I don't feel personally attacked because you didn't like the band that I wanted you to listen to, you know. But where is your spirit? That's what I'm interested in getting into. Where's your true mind and your heart at? And people are more so aligning themselves with bands and television shows than their true ideas with what makes us human and what makes humanity so great in our own individual natures. This collectivism has got to go, man. I'm really sick of it. There's got to be more to life than Vampire Diaries or Lady Gaga or whatever, you know, whatever. There's got to be more going on in life than that. I mean, I'm not mad at you if that's what you do. I'm not mad. I'm sad for you if you don't have a life outside of these things. You have to be motivated into something else and be... my girlfriend's all pissed off now. All right. I'm not mad. I'm sad for you. I'll continue. Sorry. But there's something more to life than these television shows and bands. Or whatever. Hobbies are hobbies, and I get that. Everybody needs hobbies. But don't personally align yourself with these things. If you work, there's a work of passion. You have a skill. You have something to do. Even that is more interesting and is a part of you than a television show. And we'll move on. Next article, White House dossier. Obama government equal to population in 1776. The size of government workers is now equal to the population the year this country was founded. Let's dive in. President Obama Monday invoked Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence to justify his expansive new view of government, but Jefferson might be surprised to learn that the number of federal employees today is nearly equal to the entire population of the nation in 1776. According to the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, the current civilian federal workforce, excluding Postal Service employees, was 2.51 million in 2011. The Census Bureau estimates that in 1776, the entire population of the United States was just a bit higher at about 2.5 million. And that brings up a whole slew of stuff. I remember 2 or 3 years ago when we heard that I think in the early 90s that the security clearance that most people had was like a tenth less than what it is or what it was 2-3 years ago. In that 20-year span, there's 10 times more people with national security clearances. And I know people that have been positioned or talked to about getting this security clearance that are in the private sector, but they get government contracts. I don't know how long we were off for. I just saw that we got rebooted there. Like I said, growing pains, people. We'll get into it. We'll get it all situated. But the size of government is out of control. The government itself is illegitimate. We've been hijacked and taken over by corporate interest, by corrupt mega banks, and by the politicians that sell us down the river to these people and corporations and mega banks. It's all been hijacked, but they act like if they take you under the umbrella, under the soft, gentle wing of government, that there's a place for you at this government table, and we can nurse you back to health. If you just nuzzle up under our wing, we're going to carry you far. And that's just government outreach in every aspect and every spot of our lives. And it's unnecessary. Doesn't need to happen. Oh, this government is so out of control. I'm so fed up with it. Beyond fed up. Oh. All right, let's see. Diving into some other news. Update from inauguration. Viewership down almost 50% from 2009, but still 20.5 million watched the swearing in. That's still great numbers. And it was on. I was watching something totally different, but I was scanning through television stations at work, and it was, when it's on every major network, it's kind of hard to not watch it because they pretty much shut down everything except for the movie channels during something like an inauguration or the State of the Union, which should be coming up. When is it? I think it's supposed to be done by the end of either January or February. I'm not sure. I forget. I'll have to look that up and get back to you people on that. But what should be within the month, we should have our State of the Union address, and that should be interesting. And of course, we'll pick it apart and say lie, lie, lie. Oh, well, here's what they really plan to do. Lie. That's just the way it is. But, and then we've got, luckily enough, we have some of these shows, some of these main shows. I was just thinking about the viewership, and, all of your X Factor and American Idol is still failing in comparison, and I'm glad to see that the viewership, that America's finally done with that type of stuff, but I'm sure they'll wheel in the next mindless garbage for us to look after shortly thereafter, after that goes kaput, if you will. Here's some more of government reaching out into our lives. The Department of Homeland Security offers winter storm tips. If you must shovel snow, stretch before going outside. The Weekly Standard. Like, this nanny state, and this is straight out of the lips of Big Sis, Janet Napolitano, going to tell you how to live, tell you how to stretch. You do the little, the arm circles. I'm not sure that we did in elementary school. I'm not even sure if that really has any physical value to it, but she's sitting there saying, stretch before you go outside if you're going to shovel snow, if you must shovel snow. Like, when are we? This is getting out of control. This is the world that our kids are growing up in, and if you don't have good parents, they're going to think this stuff is normal. That's what's scary. We are within 10 to 15 years of having a complete Hitler Youth, if you will, that is normalized by these kinds of behaviors, that just getting used to this kind of stuff. And if you don't have good parents to say, hey, this is all bullshit, look away, this is...
Okay, people, move along. There's nothing to see here.
Move along. Nothing to see here. You have to do that to your kids. You have to. That's the best shot that we got, is to inform our children that it wasn't always like this. We used to have this little thing called freedom, or at least a hell of a lot more than we do now. It's time to reach out the feelers, people. But, moving along, here's some of their tips. I don't know why this document was released, but I just found it interesting that, the Department of Homeland Security now has to offer winter storm tips for people. That should be more of a FEMA thing, but like I said, there's so many subgroups of this out-of-control, illegitimate government that I can't even begin to keep up with, or who's supposed to be in charge of what. But, change wet clothing frequently. No shit. The tip sheet produced by DHS under Secretary Janet Napolitano reads, during winter storm and extreme cold, stay indoors during the storm. This is all like complete common sense. Walk carefully on snow, icy walkways. Avoid overextension when shoveling snow. Overexertion can bring on a heart attack, a major cause of death in winter. Keep dry. Change wet clothing frequently to prevent a loss of body heat. Watch for signs of frostbite. Watch for signs of hypothermia. And this is it's just acclimating you. This is all that is. That's not even a real, like, important document or anything like that, but it's all just sitting there telling you that, you know, we're going to tell you how it is. It's all getting you used to government intervention in your lives. That obviously, just from that document alone, tells you that there's a way too big of an overreach for anybody to do this. We don't need that kind of intervention. Some would argue none at all, but I would argue that we definitely don't need this kind and many other kinds of government intervention in our lives. This is a prime example of how ridiculous it's gotten. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I cannot believe that they have to come out and say that kind of stuff. Watch out for icy roads. Really? This is what your tax money goes towards. For people to tell us to be careful on icy walkways. I can't get over it, man. The First Lady, Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett, serenade the Obamas in second night of partying. Second night? They just keep going on and on. At bash for White House staffers who burst into song for the president with impromptu rendition of Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, Daily Mail reporter. Washington, D.C. reverberated to the sounds of partying for a second consecutive evening last night as Lady Gaga headlined a spectacular private event for thousands of Obama staffers. The singer, who wore a jaw-dropping white, what is that, Versace? I don't even know. That's what I want to say it is. I don't even know what that means. But saying the lady is a tramp with renowned crooner Tony Bennett at the Washington Convention Center, to the delight of those who had campaigned for the president's re-election. No media were allowed at the event. And, you know, this is more than bread and circus, people. This is way more than bread and circus. This is complete insanity. This is turning, you know, we have to turn this, and we saw that hugely during the 2008 election. During the 2008 election, I was like, dude, I don't know if this is a reality TV show or a presidential election. Obama dancing on Oprah and the View and the whole 9 yards. I mean, this is not a entertainment event. It's a country with individuals, and where did the inventors go? Where did the entrepreneurs go? The true entrepreneurs, not just saying you want to do something and not do anything about it. You know, one day, what was that from basketball, South Park guys? You know what, one day, I'm going to own a big sports bar. And they sit around playing Nintendo all day long. You know, it's just, you got to get some chops about you and stop living in this matrix reality that they built for you. Even politics is bread and circus and a reality show. Or at least that's what they want you to believe. Completely insane. There's no call for it. Here's another article, Weekly Standard. Google complies with government requests for user data 88% of the time. Wow. Well, I'm surprised it's that low considering Google's run by the NSA. I really am. I would consider, if Google has data on people and the government wants it for whatever reason, I'm surprised that's not, closer to 98, 99% of the time. Article says, Internet company Google complies with requests for user data 88% of the time. Government asks, according to data released today by Google. In all, the government, including both local and federal agencies, made 8,438 requests between July and December of last year from Google for data from 14,791 users/accounts. These requests were either part of a warrant, a subpoena, or something else. Something else? Survey says something else. 79, all right. Yeah, whatever, Google handed over the data 88% of the time. Something else, that's your warrantless, that's the stuff that they can't come out and say because you don't have a warrant or are part of some court juncture or anything else. Those are law-abiding, the from something else, that's law-abiding citizens that they are illegally, warrantlessly wiretapping, and that all fits in under all of that. But hey, the Patriot Act took care of it. Obama said he wouldn't sign it, has signed it in twice, set to sign in a new one. NDAA, all of these little tic-tacs that just slowly eroding the freedom until we become the government's pet. We're like Mr. Bigglesworth. You know what I'm saying? We just sit on the lap of the government while the power structure and New World Order calmly pats its head, telling it everything's going to be okay as long as we keep a firm grip on Mr. Bigglesworth, the people. Something's got to be done. About vengeance, a badge and a gun, so I'll rip the mic, rip the stage, rip the system. I was born to rage against him. Sorry. But that's really how I feel. Here we go. NYPD commissioner says department will begin testing a new high-tech device that scans for concealed weapons. Now, I saw this, and the article's up a bunch of different places if you want to go check it out. It doesn't look like it could fit in the back of a cruiser, but possibly. It's kind of bulky, but anyway, the device, which tests for terahertz radiation, is small enough to be placed in a police vehicle or stationed at a street corner where gunplay is common. Get ready for scan and frisk. The NYPD will soon deploy new technology allowing police to detect guns carried by criminals without using the typical pat-down procedure, Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly said Wednesday. The department just received a machine that reads terahertz, the natural energy emitted by people and inanimate objects, and allows police to view concealed weapons from a distance. Really? Just X-ray machines, retina scans. I really have to disagree with my other people that says that technology is going to help us more than hurt us. It's constantly being used against us, and we're going to have to find a better way to combat it. And that's all I have to say about that. Oh, ridiculous. But we've reached the top of the hour. So we're going to play our network break, come back with a song, and I hope you join us for hour number 2. Contact your friends. Tell them to tune in to LibertyMovementRadio.com.
Chris Bronson.
The fact is that terrestrial talk radio is on the decline because people are tired of the mainstream republicanism They're tired of the neoconservatives pretending to be civil libertarians and constitutionalists when everybody knows they're just former uneducated disc jockeys who are water carriers for the establishment.
A man of wisdom.
We are not here for people caught up in the false dichotomy of Democrat versus Republican, Team A versus Team B, shirts versus skins, whatever you want to call it mentality. International megabanks and special interests run both of these parties. So whether you pick A or whether you pick B, you lose and they win.
A man of kindness and understanding.
This is not a place for whiny libertarians to get together and cry about how much our feelings are hurt. The time has come for us to go on the offensive rather than sit back and wait for the scum in both of these parties to continue to push their collectivist garbage on all of us.
A man of ideas.
This is our country too. We need to focus on winning the intellectual battle. Our ideas, namely private property rights, free market capitalism, and respect for civil liberties.
And he's coming to Liberty Movement Radio.
Look, I know there are many people out there that have become totally disenchanted by the political process because they rightfully feel that they aren't being represented. But we need to represent ourselves because we have a duty to fight first and foremost this intellectual war. And we know full well that what the statists want are not in the best interests of our families.
That's the Chris Bronson Show, Saturdays on LibertyMovementRadio.com.
My name is Chris Bronson, and the Battle of Ideas takes place here on Liberty Movement Radio, your brand new home for intelligent talk and news analysis.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every day. Medical marijuana is my last resort, and it helps me when all other drugs have failed. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Initiation of force is always immoral. Always think outside the government. Always.
Good day to you all you crazy cats. This is Caleb Leverett, and introducing the Caleb Leverett Radio Show. My partner in victimless crime, Ben Farmer, will be co-hosting with me. The Caleb Leverett Radio program is dedicated to debunking the delusional American mythology known as statism, which is merely the belief that the majority of human population must be controlled by psychotic, lying, cheating, stealing, murdering authoritarians known as politicians, whom most Americans despise and adore at the same time, which is nothing short of political Stockholm Syndrome. So if you're ready to unplug the cord from the back of your neck and enter into the realm of absolute truth, then join us live Mondays and Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Central at www.libertymovementradio.com.
Hey, this is Tripp, NWO Fighter, and you're listening to LibertyMovementRadio.com. Are you tired of the government telling you what to think and feel and believe? Have you felt that burning in the pit of your stomach for most of your life that tells you that something is terribly wrong with the world in which we live? Then join me on Sunday and Wednesday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. The most up-to-date news on activism, government corruption, how to win back our republic. Tripp, NWO Fighter, the show that gets America's balls back, on LibertyMovementRadio.com.
You're listening to Liberty Movement Radio on LibertyMovementRadio.com.
There was Mudvayne with Dull Boy. Welcome back to the Tripp NWO Fighter Show on LibertyMovementRadio.com. Thank you all for joining us for the second hour. Got some other news to get into, and some news clips. This second hour has kind of become where we get into our newscasts and things like that. We got local news, things of that nature. And I know we just got back from a break with music and whatnot, but I want to go ahead and get into this and give some commentary. We had David Arquette say that actors should be regulated bullets for what they shoot in television shows and movies. And, this is all getting back to our state of humanity and just where we're headed and the climate of the country, and it's either shifting towards total authoritarianism on one side and complete and total liberty on the other. And there's less and less people in that middle ground. But those are the people that we're still trying to capture the hearts and minds of. So, if you got anybody that you know that's still a Republican or a Democrat that's not a total douchebag that would actually listen to what you say, because some people are just beyond saving at this point, I believe. I hate to, kind of draw that line there, but, you talk to some people and it doesn't matter what you show them or anything, they're going to follow King Obama to their graves or think that somehow, they're just diehard GOP people that just think that as soon as we can get the executive branch back, everything's going to be okay. Not to mention how badly the Republicans are failing on every level within the Senate and Congress. And I'm sure most people can agree with me on that they are truly failing in adopting leftist policies left and right. So anybody that's listening to this that, you know somebody, or maybe you yourself are still kind of stuck in this left-right paradigm, that is the first key. That is the first key to unlock, is the left-right paradigm, to let everyone know that it doesn't exist. It's professional wrestling, and they play ball on the same team. And those of you that want to be the bat boy are in the way too. And you're serving the system, and it's not helping. There's a good bit, we talked last hour about these government employees and stuff. I've got great friends that are teachers and, have government jobs and everything, and are open-minded enough to recognize the difference and to understand that they're insightful enough to understand how flawed the system is, being inside the system itself. And those are the people that need to be reached. Those are the people that we have to start shoveling our information to, because they need it most. And they are within direct position of a bunch of other people that are more than happy to serve this system no matter what kind of evil is tossed their way. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into this David Arquette thing, and we'll make some comments on the backside.
And I asked because the president laid out a lot of things that he would like to see Congress do on guns, and Hollywood wasn't even, there was no mention of video games, movies, music, and some commentators were like, what about Hollywood? So that's why...
Hey, listen, if you want to, restrict the amount of bullets that fit in a magazine and then restrict that also from being able to show that amount of bullets in a clip on a movie screen, I'm totally down with it. Go for it. I'm an actor, so, I'm a worker for hire. I've done things in movies and shot guns and all this. I don't shoot guns in my real life, but, I'm also providing a service and, so I wish I was in a position to be able to say, you know what, I don't want to do that because there's a gun involved, and I don't believe in guns. But, I'm an actor and I need to work.
In Washington, I'm Nicholas Balassi, the Daily Caller.
Basically, now, for the record, I've liked a lot of David Arquette's work in the past. I have, but that is absurd, and anybody taking cues from this guy is I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. It's just bad all around if you're taking cues from that guy, because not only that, but it's not like he's Brad Pitt or Russell Crowe, not just talking about how women swoon and whatnot, but as far as what they are being offered per picture. And he's trying to work, so he's saying, if the price is right, what kind of morality is that? If the price is right, I will be the most violent criminal television has ever seen. But I really wish I could say,
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
David Arquette wants me to limit magazine rounds and bullets and everything else, and he wishes that he could do the same on camera just because he chooses not to do it in his personal life. And for David Arquette, I have to say,
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Sorry, Dave. I can't do that. Anyway, not a big story, but I'm not taking my cues from David Arquette. All right? Go watch Airheads with Brendan Fraser and Steve Buscemi and Adam Sandler. He plays this surfer dude back in '94. Hilarious. Still sounds like that guy, And people give Keanu Reeves hell, but, David Arquette's right up there with him. All right, I'm going to get into some local news here. Now, this is Central Florida based out of our local newspaper, Orlando Sentinel. Florida law enforcement officers suspected of misusing driver vehicle database skyrockets. Now, we've got these databases, and anybody that lives in Central Florida knows that our toll roads are expanding, and we've got tons of them, and I use them daily. And there is a driver database for all kinds of stuff, and this is probably in every state. I don't know, but I live in Florida, so this is what I research the most, what's going on locally. Outside of complete national issues, I like to pay attention to what's happening in my community as well, and so should all of you. But here we go. We'll go ahead and dive into it. Florida's driver and vehicle database, the system that can help law enforcement identify victims of fatal crashes and decipher the identity of a suspect, can be a useful tool for cops. But the system, known as DAVID for Driving and Vehicle Information Database, can also be easily abused. Now, there was a newscast that I wasn't able to get a hold of, the audio I wasn't able to get a hold of, but they went on to say, this was used by cops that, had a crush on a girl and looked up her address and phone number and all kinds of information. You got to remember, these cops are regular-ass people, too, and people that will abuse authority, that percentage is the same across the board, but I would like to think that it's a lot higher for people coveting a position of authority like a good, fair share of cops. Not to say that all cops are bad, or at least most of them, not most of them, but some of them get into it for the right reasons. And I've witnessed that personally in my life and had, cops in my life that have done nothing but good stuff for me, especially as a kid, that were truly there to serve and protect. But we all know that that's not the truth for the majority. So, you've got people abusing this for girls they have crushes on to be a creepy-ass stalker or whatever, article goes on to say here, data obtained by the Orlando Sentinel show the number of Florida law enforcement officers suspected of misusing David skyrocketed last year. At least 74 law enforcers were suspected of misusing the David system in 2012, a nearly 400% increase from 2011. 400%. Which just, that's more affirmation about how the, as technology advances and more of this technology is available to the people in the wrong hands, then that's what you're going to get. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Government officials and tyrannical elite always will get the new gadgets first. They'll always, or stuff that's not even available for the civilian public. This is just stuff that will never, stuff that is strictly made for government officials. It'll never be available to the general public. So that's where technology plays a role against us. And we've got to be on the lookout for it, and we have to really, other than just sitting here covering the news, most of my stuff that I am very, I don't want to say knowledgeable, but I would like to think knowledgeable would be the word, but things that I feel deeply about, are the eugenics and the technological surveillance grid and false flag terror. These are things that are of personal interest to me. So I like to dive into that, as much as I can, because it's important to me, and I think it should be important to everybody else as well. That's definitely something that needs to be addressed, I think. And, some of it is not 100% provable, so there's a lot of conspiracy culture and disinfo thrown into the mix, so it becomes sort of disenfranchising and discrediting to a certain extent if you wish to talk about these types of things. But I think that it's worth talking about because a lot of those are the issues that we need to really be addressing. The government's corrupt on all levels, which is what we talk about a lot here. And that's, everybody knows that, but we do have to continue pointing out how corrupt they are and what the new scam is so people can be aware of it and call them out on their bullshit as soon as humanly possible. So anyway, that's, article ends saying that officers who needlessly pull information or photographs, they got photographs on there too, from the David system that would otherwise be private could face criminal charges, sanctions, or disciplinary actions. Now, we covered this last time. School will not back... Here's a new article. We talked about the little girl, 5-year-old kindergarten kid that brought the Hello Kitty bubble gun. My daughter's got one, out in the garage right now. She's not out there, but the bubble gun is. But it's... you dip it in the bubbles and you press the little button and the bubbles come out. 5-year-old. Terroristic threat for the bubble gum. And the newest article here says school will not back down over 5-year-old girl's bubble gun terroristic threat, quote. And the attorney accuses district officials of stonewalling. So I suggest everybody continue to cover and look out for this story because this will be interesting nonetheless to see how this all turns out. However, new development tonight. Elementary school girl threatened with arrest over paper gun. And I've got a video newscast to play after we get into this. And this is also out of Pennsylvania. The bubble gun, the Hello Kitty bubble gun, pink bubble gun, to be exact, was also out of Pennsylvania. And I don't know, man. I've been seeing some hardcore authoritarianism coming out of Pennsylvania the past few years. Remember we played that, man, I wish I had it on file right now, but the tax commercial from a couple years ago where they start out on the Earth and then the satellite slowly beams in on the guy's house. Nice family, Dave. Nice car, or Tom. That's what it was. It was Tom was the guy's name. Nice car, Tom. Nice family. Nice house, Tom. You owe $4,000 in back taxes. Find us or we'll find you. Really? Like, this is for the Pennsylvania IRS or whatever. But anyway, and I wish you could see this. If you go look it up, just, girl threatened, elementary school girl threatened arrest over paper gun is the headline. And they showed a picture of it. And we're not talking about something that's one of those intricately made girl deals that deals with, several pieces of paper being folded up into a gun. No, we're talking about an L. It could easily be argued that this, quote, paper gun was cut out in the shape of an L and turned sideways. Literally. Go look at the newscast. It's completely ridiculous. But the article says a South Philadelphia elementary school student was searched in front of classmates. Searched in front of classmates. And threatened with arrest after she mistakenly brought a, quote, paper gun to school. Yet another example of the hysteria sweeping America's school system in the aftermath of the Sandy Hook massacre. Really? And another thing that I forgot to bring up over the, and I told you this at the beginning of the show, that this is part of the nanny state, trampling on First Amendment rights, parental rights, all kinds of stuff. Now, something that I forgot to bring up when we first covered this bubble gun story out of, I forget the town, but it's in Pennsylvania, is that they detained the 5-year-old for 2.5 hours and questioned her without her mother's permission and without her mother there. So that's something else that needs to get looked into, and I really hope, considering all that, and after the school will not back down from that, and they interrogated this 5-year-old girl for 2.5 hours before her mother got there, that, man, I hope those people lawyer up really well, because they'll own their asses after this, after detaining and questioning a minor without notification, without her being there or any notification. I mean, that is ridiculous. But without further ado, here's the newscast from the elementary school girl with the paper gun now.
A piece of paper got a little girl in big trouble at an elementary school in South Philadelphia. But the child's parents say school officials just went too far. Fox 29's Dave Kinchin live at Philadelphia school headquarters tonight. So what exactly happened here, Dave?
Well, Thomas, this is all about a 5th grader that brought a piece of paper to class that many say looked like a gun. And it's what happened next that has her family crying foul.
He would call me a murderer.
That's what Melody Valentine says classmates are calling her at Newland Fell Elementary School in South Philadelphia. She pulled out a paper gun last week and says an administrator scolded her in front of the class. Her mom says staff even searched her with other kids watching the whole time.
I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and my daughter's in the bathroom crying. She's saying I'm having nightmares. I'm having dreams that he's chasing me down the street.
Diana Kelly says the paper gun looks something like this, a sheet just folded over, made by Melody's grandfather the day before. Melody says she put it in her pocket and forgot about it until she got to school the next day. She says she went to throw it away, but a boy saw it and called administrators. The family says one of them went overboard.
He yelled at me and said that I shouldn't have never brought the gun to school, and I kept telling him that it was a paper gun, but he wouldn't listen.
Why did he threaten my daughter? Why did you stand over my daughter and tell her that you should call the cops on her? You can be arrested. Why were you trying to scare her?
I called the school district of Philadelphia several times for comment. Calls to the administrator were made and not returned. I even went to the school district's headquarters for answers. The district says they're looking into the matter and can't comment further. Meanwhile, Diana Kelly says she's been keeping her daughter out of class to avoid the harassment and made one thing clear.
I don't want my child in that school.
Well, Diana Kelly says she may have her daughter change schools altogether. In the meantime, we want to repeat this, several attempts to get a comment from the school district. We have not heard back from them. We will let you know when we do. Reporting live in Spring Garden, Dave Kinchin, Fox 29 News.
Wow. You know, the bad thing is, and watch the newscast if you can. Go look it up. But, they're sitting outside of what looks like, a semi-rundown apartment building, not to be a dick, but, they don't look like they do have a lot of money, but you can tell just from the mother's comments that her motives and her heart and mind are completely in the right place. Doesn't want her daughter going to the school, but, by the looks of it, it looks like homeschooling and whatnot is completely out of the picture to make that a possibility, which sucks. They've made us so broke as a culture and as a people that on average that we can't even we don't have time to fight the system like that, like inside of courtrooms, and just having basic liberties put back on us. We can't just spend all day fighting court and the power structure in court. There's got to be a better, easier way. And, there are good news broadcasters and networks out there, on a local level that do cover these kinds of things, and I commend them. We've got one here, even though it's a local ABC affiliate, which I've got big problems with the mouse. We are under the rule of the mouse here in Metro Orlando, the rat, as we like to call them as well. But, ABC, ESPN, ABC owns over half of your regular cable, the 60 to 70 regular cable channels. They own over half of those. So it's hard to fight the mouse. But like I said, they've really pointed out corruption on a bunch of different levels. They've really had people go and getting these culprits' faces about whatever it is they're being accused of, or whatever. If there's an injustice being done, they have reporters that go out and get in these people's faces, and so I do commend them for that, even though it is mainstream news, so to speak, on a local level. But that's probably the best way to go about it for this mother. I can't even fathom how much hell I would raise should that happen to my daughter. That's completely ridiculous on all levels, and I wouldn't put up with that for a second. Well, let's see if we've got any other. Yeah, we've got some other news here. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and play another song, and I've got another, we've got listenership out of Ohio that I know of as well, so we will play another local newscast of basically common courtesy and going above and beyond for your friends and neighbors is now a punishable crime by being arrested and going to jail. If you wonder what I'm talking about, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Here's something a little bit more lighthearted, something really funny here. I haven't played this in a while. Stay tuned. All right, so there's that. Hope everybody enjoyed that. All right, moving into this other newscast that we've got left here tonight, and then we'll start to wrap it up on the backside of that. And cleaning fairy arrested while shoveling driveways without permission. She did not have permission. It's an arrestable crime for being nice. Fox 19 out of Ohio. Susan Warren, also known as the Cleaning Fairy, was back in police custody today, but this time it wasn't for breaking into homes to clean them. Oh, I guess she's already done this. She broke into homes to clean. Did not know that. This time she was shoveling driveways without permission. Now, of course I do not condone breaking into mine or anybody else's houses to clean them. Although if you didn't take anything, and I would be like, wow, who did this? And that's really nice, but don't break into people's houses. However, shoveling driveways off for people and not really entering their homes or anything is a little bit different. That's something I believe every citizen, and we'll check the newscast here to see if it was actually homeowners that called the cops on them, which is stupid, and just lets you know once again the climate of the country, this tattletale society, and government intervention into every aspect of your life. That solidifies it right there, where you can't even be a do-gooder and without the cops called on you. And not only that, people just ignorant, just zoned into the mainstream media and buying into the hype of everything. I look all the time, we played those newscasts here as well. Little girls' lemonade stands getting shut down, garage sales and yard sales under attack, people being threatened with arrest and to shut them down because they don't have a permit to sell. They're not, are licensed retailers or some such shit. It's ridiculous. It's on all levels. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. And you got grandpa that brings his gun out to clean it in the garage. A neighbor sees it, calls the cops, thinking that it's just illegal to own firearms. Just crazy stuff like that. We've got to get out there and start informing and educating people. There's some people out there that want to be part of the winning group and just want to tell people what to do. There's always going to be those people in our lives. And then there's other people that are in complete ignorance of the law and completely live in the matrix that believe that's the way that it really goes. That's the way that it really is. And it's just sad to see. And then there's the Republicards stuck in their little box thinking that somehow changing parties will win the hearts and minds of America somehow. And then there's the rest of us who want nothing more than to be left alone, to not be taxed and fined and have government intervention in what seemingly is damn near every portion of life as we know it. Don't worry, government. We got this. Don't worry, government. We made it fine for hundreds of years before without you sticking your finger in our face and telling us how it needs to be. We've got this. You know, they act like if government wasn't holding our hand, who knows where we'd be today. You know, I don't understand how I made it to be as old as I am or to, accomplish anything in life, which is not much, and I've had great family and friends to help me out along the way, thankfully, that have been there for me. You know, we all need a sense of humanity in the sense of taking care of each other and making sure that no one does without by your own accord. Not people that won't help themselves, but people that truly need help. And Caleb Leverett posted a video, and I think it was a Liberty Mutual insurance commercial. It was about a four-minute video, and it's sort of the pay it forward. The pay it forward line of thinking, like, one person sees another person do something for somebody else, and it just continues on, and it eventually comes full circle within the commercial itself. But that's the way we should really be as people. But government intervention in the power structures, numbing and dumbing down of society through television, mainstream, state-run media, and dozens of other aspects, have made us a selfish, indulgent culture. They've made us hate each other. We covered this story earlier, where Facebook just makes you become a hater for some people. Nobody wants to see anybody do anything good. They all want it for themselves. It's just selfishness. And through that power structure and government intervention, on average, has made us so broke that we feel like we have to look out for number one because there's no prosperity anymore. We're all being leveled down to the common denominator. There are no highs or lows. There's just a sinking line chart of intelligence and humanity and humility in people's minds and hearts nowadays, and it's sad to see. And I'm sorry that we've come there. It's not fun. It's not, I really wish I didn't have to get on and talk about this stuff. I wish it could just be more yippee-yo. We're all having a good time and ain't life keen, but it's not. And there's many elements being hidden from the general public's eyes that people like me, people like our other hosts on LibertyMovementRadio.com, dozens of others, whistleblowers, are there to combat with information and with a spirit of liberty. And I'm really proud to be a part of that, because there's a lot of people out there that could care less. But that's the end of that. We'll go ahead and dive into this cleaning fairy getting arrested and then wrap it up on the backside.
She shoveled a stranger's driveway. Dan DeRoche is live at 10 with the details, strange but true. Oh, she's absolutely locked up again tonight. She was called the cleaning fairy this summer. She broke into a home, cleaned it, wrote him a bill for $75 on a napkin, and even left her phone number. Well, apparently, she's traded in her feather duster for a shovel. Last summer, I interviewed Susan Warren after she was busted for being the cleaning fairy. Why would you go in a stranger's home?
To clean it. I figured maybe I was doing him a favor.
Tuesday afternoon, she was back at her backwards generosity. This time, shoveling the driveway at this Elyria home, uninvited.
Someone, I think, in the neighborhood watch had called the police that saw the lady out there and recognized that the lady was that lady that had cleaned houses or whatever done before.
It was her. Warren was shoveling the driveway of Tim Terrell's mother-in-law. When police showed up and asked Warren what she was doing, they found out she had an outstanding warrant for a parole violation, and back to jail she went. The question is, why did she do it? Why did she pick this home? Neighbors tell us she didn't shovel anybody else's home on the block. She wasn't hired by the family. They don't even know her. But take a look. She actually did a pretty good job before they hauled her off.
Scary and weird. It was both of them. We have no idea why she picked her.
The driveway is clean. No indication if Warren was planning on leaving a bill. She was cuffed and taken away before she got the chance. And I did speak to Susan Warren's son tonight at the home she lists as her residence. He said his mommy is still locked up. I asked why she did it. He said he didn't know. And then I said, she's got a problem with this kind of thing in the past. And he said, yeah. We're live in downtown Cleveland, Dana Roast, 19 Action News.
Well, if it's a work of passion, no harm, no foul. Thanks a lot for shoveling the driveway. But, leaving people bills for doing stuff you didn't ask to do is, clear violation of, anything, especially the repercussions of what might happen should you not pay the bill that she left you. Sounds kind of batshit crazy, but still, like I said, if you're not breaking into anybody's home, no harm, no foul. We're going to start to wrap it up here tonight. I am sorry about the phone system for any potential callers or anybody that did try to get through. Kind of shut off on me midstream, and I didn't want to go through the whole ordeal of getting back on air because it was cutting stuff off and directly interfering with the show. I couldn't do it behind the scenes. But we're still working on all this stuff, and I hope that everybody enjoyed the show tonight. And we'll leave you with some Doug Stanhope and Hatebreed, I believe. Heavy stuff. I love this stuff. Gets me motivated, gets me angry, and a right frame of mind. But once again, we're here Wednesday and Sunday nights, 9 to 11 p.m. You've been listening to the Tripp NWO Fighter show here on LibertyMovementRadio.com, and we will see you Sunday night. I'd like to thank everybody again for tuning in, so stick around because we got lots of cool stuff coming up here in the near future, so I hope you stick around and stick with us here on LibertyMovementRadio.com.
He's smoking through this whole set. Because it's one of the loopholes in the law. They keep in the smoking bans. They keep, if it's part of a theatrical production, a loophole in the law because they don't want to fuck up some faggy Tennessee Williams production and ruin the integrity of the show. So they leave this fucking loophole open for me. If the cigarette bothers you because you're envious, vote next time. How about that? Vote. Yeah, every now and then. Figure out what the fuck's going on in your community. No, you don't vote. You got shit to do. Leave it to old people with breathing problems who will never come here. This whole fucking generation is so unbelievably sad. If you're just getting to, like, partying age, you're fucked. There's nothing going on in this country anymore. It's done. Last call. It's just a suck generation. It's the most boring fucking generation in the history of people. It's all dumbed down and watered. When's the last time you heard stories about rock and roll bands chucking TVs out of hotel windows or any of that shit that used to be fun? Like, there was fun in the world. Some of this is going to make me sound like a grumpy old fuck, and I am, but I have just cause. There's nothing. As people get older, the older you get, the more bitchy you get, because that's just natural. The more you've done shit, the more jaded you get. But I think we're going to be the first generation of old people. As soon as someone gets old, they complain about the new kids. And, oh, these kids today, look, they're crazy. It's always that it used to be always that the new generation was too deviant. These kids are out of control. They're crazy. They're immoral. Look at what they're doing. In our day, if we wanted fun, we just went to a barn dance. And we didn't even finger fuck till we were like 35 years old. But these kids today... It was always that the new generation was over the top, and we're going to be the first generation of elderly people complaining, but in the opposite fashion, where we're going, look at these kids today, these half faggots. We used to do crank off of titty dancers and shit. It was no one got hurt. We had a lot of fun. We got some good stories and herpes out of the deal. It was a fucking good time. The blisters bring me back. These pussies, they drink a Red Bull for some pep, and they prefer if you went on the patio for a cigarette. The closest they come to a fist fight is on a message board somewhere. You looking at my girl? I'm going to delete you from my MySpace friend. You got some blocked user in your future, faggot. They're about to start piss testing for adrenaline in the workplace. That's how sad this country's getting. Shaking your urine in front of you. Is that yours, Donnie? It looks a little cloudy. Have you been having fun on the weekend? Are we not enough fun for you here at the Verizon Wireless family? You need to seek it elsewhere? I don't think you're a team player. That's why I love hearing people go, oh, that town, that's like 20 years behind the times, that fucking place. Book me there. I had fun 20 years ago. But I can still smoke indoors? Oh, ecstasy is still pure, uncut, and readily available? Oh, shit. What cavemen they must be.